Happy Groundhog Day, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majestic back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic Weather Studios with your weather update here on your February the 2nd, 2026. Well, if you're into folklore and you're into a couple of groundhogs telling you what the weather's going to be like, both Beauregard Lee here in Georgia and Puxatawny Phil up in Pennsylvania both say 6 more weeks of winter. Yes, they saw their shadows this morning, which is actually pretty factual because we had cold high pressure and control of the weather here across the east, and they say 6 more weeks of winter. Well, I'm going to give you my take on what we're going to expect at least for the next month as we go into this forecast. Now, before we get rolling, if you're new here on our YouTube channel here and you live anywhere across North Georgia, let me introduce myself. I'm meteorologist Greg Majestic, and I'm on a mission to build a 24-hour weather channel here on YouTube and other platforms as well. So if you'd like to help us in that endeavor, please subscribe to this channel, and while you're at it, very importantly, make sure you hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future weather updates. All right, let's go ahead and get into our update as we are still dealing with the residual effects from the weekend snowstorm. Real pretty view there across Brasstown Bald. You see some of the snow there on the mountains. They're slowly but surely melting away, and with the warm-up we're expecting here the next day or so, a lot of it will be pretty much gone, but still looking pretty good out there. Here, looking at Dahlonega, looking nice as well. A few clouds out there, some sunshine, a beautiful afternoon there at the UNG campus there. And as we head on toward Lake Chautauqua there in Georgia, you see the snows there in the backgrounds there. Beautiful day there on the lake, and things will be warming up here as well in the days ahead. All right, so look at that local radar. It's quiet here for the moment. Now, we do have some rain in the forecast, probably coming in here late across northwest Georgia going into tomorrow afternoon, but really the main rain threat will be coming in Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So it's really not going to wash out either Tuesday or Wednesday's forecast, and it's some needed rains at that. You see how low those lake levels are out there, and we're at least going to get a little bit. Not a ton, but at least some coming back in the forecast. Satellite picture showing us we've been holding on to some clouds up here across portions of North Georgia. Been holding on here just a little bit, but we're starting to slowly but surely clear that out here just a bit. You kind of see those clouds here. I've been kind of riding up to Tennessee, kind of sneaking across Georgia a little bit. It's kept the temperatures down up toward the Carolinas, but generally a lot of sunshine across our area. Look at the regional temperatures here. You notice the example of those clouds. It's 33 degrees up there in Murphy, so it's been kind of cool there because those clouds have been holding on here a little bit. But elsewhere, I mean, it's 51 degrees over here in Rome, so here's 33 up there, and we're at 42 degrees there in Gainesville. So the warming trend's continuing, and we're going to briefly warm up tomorrow before we go cool back down. A little bit of a roller coaster ride, and I think the milder weather, really like getting it above normal, maybe seeing 60s back in here, probably don't arrive until next week. So just hold on to that, okay? Now, as we go look at our forecast here, let's look at the model here. Watch that timestamp here in that upper right-hand corner. You see it right up there. Yep, that's where you need to look as I go ahead and take you into the future here on this model. This is the North American model, the intermediate model here, and you notice those blue lines. They're going to the north. That tells us milder temperatures here, at least briefly. Here comes the rain coming in, so notice by 1 o'clock, we start getting a little bit up here across extreme northwest Georgia, starting to move on in here just a little bit. And this will increase going into the overnight hours. So, again, 10 o'clock at night, looking at some pretty decent rains. Again, nothing overly heavy, but good moderate rain, good soaking. Then on the back side of this, looks like the models might want to squeeze in a little snow flurries out here as the cold air rushes back in here going into Wednesday night. It ain't going to amount to much anything. Don't worry about it, but definitely going to be cooling back down here once again as we go into your Thursday. You notice that blue line going all the way back south again. This is our freezing line. Whenever you see it that far south, yep, you know it's going to be cold. Now, we're not talking as cold as we just had over the weekend or last week, but it will be colder going into your Thursday morning and then Friday morning. And then we should see things begin to quickly warm back up. Notice that blue line as we go to the end of the run starts to pull on out. Yep, that means we're going to see the cold air retreating and the temperatures begin to warm back up again going into the weekend. So a little bit of an up and down with the temperatures here. Now, as far as the precipitation is concerned, let's go look at that here across North Georgia. You might see some localized areas. I see a little pocket there showing up, maybe a 1 inch up here. But generally, I'd say 3/4 of an inch to an inch. That's about what we'll see across the area here for the totality of the rain event coming on through. So let's go ahead and take a look at our forecast maps. Watch that little timestamp there on top as we kind of highlight the days of the week from our friends from the National Weather Service here as we go into your Tuesday. Not looking bad there, pretty quiet. But Tuesday night, we're going to see those clouds start to increase. We go into the afternoon and going into that night, a little wet. You see that dark green? That indicates high rain chances there all across North Georgia. And then as we go into Friday morning, maybe a few showers, and we'll kind of clear on out, turning colder. A little bit of a breeze there. Again, when you see these lines in here, these isobars in here, that indicates a little bit of a breeze. So we'll see some winds, a difference in air pressure there. And then as we go into Friday, things looking pretty quiet. But going into Saturday, we're going to have another front coming on through. So we got to see this brief warm up. Here's this next front. It's charging on southward once again. So we'll modify briefly on Friday, maybe cool down a little bit on Saturday as it kind of races on through. And then Sunday, we're going to warm back up again and going into Monday. So you notice that high pressure's down into the Gulf. So we're going to see a westerly wind kicking back in here by Monday. So by Tuesday next week, I expect above normal temperatures and maybe some 60s. Haven't seen that in a little while, but that's what we're expecting, I think, going into next week. And then the question mark will be, how long does that stick around? Because I think what we're going to see later in the month, because of what's going on in the Arctic regions, as far as the stratospheric warming event, that usually indicates a polar vortex disruption again, probably the second half of the month. So we got to watch for that in our long-term forecast. All right, so here's our forecast here for tomorrow, though. Showers, northwest areas. We'll see showers, heading toward that lunch hour just afterwards, and then kind of spreading across the areas down toward Metro Atlanta and over toward Gainesville. Eastern areas probably won't get that rain until going into Tuesday night, but 52-28. So again, a chilly start. And then looking at your mostly clear skies, but maybe some clouds coming in toward dawn. So we may bottom out a little bit. Temperatures may climb just a few degrees because of the clouds coming in. This all depends on the timing. And then as we look at our daytime highs, look at this. 57 is actually in Atlanta. That's actually above normal for this time of year. We'll take that. But lower 50s up in the mountains and near 60 over in Cedartown and Rome. But again, like I said, don't get used to it. We're going to cool things back off again. Here's our forecast from our perspective. Oh, I forgot to change the icon there in Atlanta. No snow at 57 degrees. There will be mostly cloudy skies there in Atlanta. 48 there in Nashville, 61 in Birmingham with some rain, 62 in Jackson, 60 in Savannah, 63 over into Jacksonville. So everything looking pretty good there. Here is our 7-day forecast again. That rain chance Tuesday will be late, for Wednesday early. So we're in the 50s and 40s there for lows there on Wednesday morning. But then we cool back down on Thursday. So notice it's 47-30. Climb back up a little bit on Friday, 54-29. Then we cool back down again. And then you notice we got 57-38 on Monday. And I do suspect Tuesday and Wednesday next week, maybe we see some 60s back in here. That would be a nice thing to see. It's been kind of cold here for a little while. So maybe we'll get a few days of above normal temperatures. So I'm expecting maybe from say the 7th through the 15th, maybe we see a window with temperatures are running above normal. And then the question marks on that polar disruption impact. It usually takes a couple of weeks for that to work its way down. The polar jet stream has been, oscillating badly this winter. That's why we've had these cold shots coming down. And whenever we get those big wavy patterns to establish, they can lock in some cold periods. So I think the second half of the month will bring some colder weather. So maybe I'm supporting what the Groundhogs have to say on that, but that's what I'm kind of expecting. So kind of a seasonable, maybe a little cool here for the rest of this week, above normal next week, and then we maybe get cold again for the last 2 weeks going into February. That's my February outlook forecast for you. So we'll see if my forecast lines up with the rodents. Anyway, that's y'all's update for today. Again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you're new here to the YouTube channel, again, please, can't build this channel without your help. Please hit that subscribe button, and very important, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future weather updates. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy. You can stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.